Hi everyone, Lisa Hamilton here from Ridewell Training. Today I'm going to give you the rundown on your competition checklist. I think it's really important that anyone who's going out competing this year actually has a written down checklist for themselves, for their horse, for their lorry or their trailer, because it makes it so much easier when you get started in at the beginning of the season to have a list, because you've forgotten what you need to pack up from last year, because we all do get quite rusty over the winter. So it's March. Some of you may have been out already, some of you maybe haven't. Our local big event is this weekend, Tweezledown. Anyway, so I have a checklist to share with you. So hopefully you can save this video and you can go over this multiple times and make sure you can write it down. Anyway, here we go. So, lorry checklist. First thing you need to do is check your lorry or trailer is safe and ready to use. Sounds obvious, but it's quite easy to sort of get thinking, I'll do that next week, and then over a period of time realise that the show is the next day and you haven't checked the tyres on the lorry, you haven't actually checked that you can open the ramp and da-da-da-da-da. So all these things. Firstly, check the lorry starts the day before. I also think that's a really good idea. And if you haven't used it much over the winter, maybe check the oil and water and tyres for your first trip out. Okay, make sure that in your lorry you get ready the day before, the morning of, water for your horses to drink, whether you're lucky enough to have a water tank or whether or not you're just going to take a container of water, which you can buy on eBay, cheap enough. You're going to need water to wash off horses if you're eventing or doing anything really energetic. I recommend at least 2 buckets, then one for drinking and one for washing off. And you're going to need sponges, sweat scraper. A good idea is a hand towel, one to wipe off horses' legs and keep them dry and stop them from chapping, and the other one is for yourself. Haynets for travel. Make sure you've got them in your haynet, in your lorry or trailer in advance. Small feed if you're going to be gone all day. Grooming kit. I keep one in my lorry all the time because it saves a lot of time, a hassle, and you can keep your best brushes for the kit that you need. Now, spare head collar and ropes, a really good idea. More than once I've had a client's horse pull back, break their head collar and go, now what am I going to do? And had to rush off and buy a new one. So to avoid that, and sometimes there isn't somewhere to buy one, it's a good idea to have a spare, especially ropes. Make sure you've got safety ties and breakable string, really important. So when you tie the horse up, you're using a safety tie or breakable string so that the horse is not going to break, instead the string will. And that's also why you should travel in a leather head collar. Cooler rug. Horses get sweaty travelling. It's a really good idea to get them in something that will absorb the sweat. And a rain sheet. We live in England. Even if you start off on the most beautiful sunny day, you're going to find you might need a rain sheet later on. So there's a cat in the background coming for a walk with me. And first aid kit, make sure you've got that in your lorry for horse and rider. It doesn't need to be super sophisticated. Something you can bandage, some Gamgee, some wound cream, some purple spray, maybe antibiotic spray, and of course a general first aid kit for yourself, some plasters, some wound cream for you, some TCP or something. I mean, just play around. You can buy little kits and boots that are easy to do, or you can buy bigger kits depending on how much you need. But I often find plasters are really handy because you cut your hand at just the wrong moment in the middle of plaiting and you've got blood everywhere. It's not a good thing. So don't forget some snacks during the day. I take a couple of thermoses and keep some non-perishable food maybe in the lorry, but maybe put it in a tin. I did that for a while, and then I had lots of creatures move into my lorry and that wasn't good. They found a food source. So if you are going to keep non-perishables in the lorry, please do it in a mouse-proof tin. Okay, so that is, let me just check my list here. Spare clothes. I always like to keep at least one spare pair of breeches and a fleece. And I know you're all going to laugh, but underwear. You might get soaked through, say you're going cross country or show jumping and you're absolutely in a rainstorm. You need spare underwear. No point changing the breeches on wet underwear. And unless you're kind of into the commando look, in which case you know what to do. So map and sat nav, make sure you've got that in the lorry. That's a really good idea. and a phone battery charger if you're lucky. Maybe you can plug yours into your lorry, but if you don't, or a car if you're a trailer, but if you don't, please make sure you have a spare or a spare phone. Nothing worse. And I have been here. I was in Dorking in a snowstorm and got completely lost. Sat nav ran out of battery, map couldn't read it, didn't have light, the lorry started to smoke. It was a nightmare. And if I'd had a spare phone, I could have phoned for help. In the end, in fact, police found me lost in Dorking in a horse box. But there you go. So it's always good to have some backups. Stud kit if you are jumping, or even if you're not actually dressage on grass, for example. Lunge line or whip for warm up and possibly for helping someone load, hopefully not you. 2 lunge lines are helpful, particularly for trailer loading. Dressage folder, British eventing rulebook, BSJ rulebook, whatever you're doing, what your sport is, make sure you've got the rules with you. And anything else you need, say British dressage folder, remember the dressage tests or the eventing tests, make sure you've got the necessary documentation, including your horse's passport. Really important. So many of the competitions now, they just do spot checks. You don't want to be the one that gets caught out, and you should actually legally have your passport with your horse when it travels anyway. And on that subject, make sure it's completely up to date. Don't be one of the people that goes to a riding club competition and are not allowed to compete because you're one day out 5 years ago. If you're not sure about your passport, get a vet to check it or take it to a riding club person. They're the best. They're the one that catch you out the most. So I would say get a good riding club person to see if your horse is completely legal. Okay, next, horse checklist. You're going to need rugs. We talked a little bit about that before, but this is actually for him to travel in, so this is not necessarily going on a lorry the night before. Travel boots, tail guard, tail bandage, leather head collar and rope, mentioned that. Obviously your saddle or saddles and bridles, depending on your sport and what you're doing. Bits of different ones are needed for different phases if you're an eventer. Numbness, saddle cloths, again, I recommend more than one. You get a downpour or horse gets very sweaty. Girth, jumping girth, martingale breastplates. So all the additional kit other than the saddle and bridle. Boots, warm-up boots, possibly for a dressage person, or bandages, or boots for all 3 phases if you're an eventer or a show jumper for maybe the tendon boots for the show jumper. Check on your boot needs and assess what you need and take some spares, especially overreach boots. They inevitably fall off cross country, and if you've got 2 horses, don't just take 1 pair, make sure you've got several, so if one horse goes cross country you can still go cross country on the other one with boots on. And I was looking for my dog. There's my dog, there he is. So right, carrying on. So tape for cross country boots to secure if desired. Okay, so some people like to tape their boots on or tape over their bandages. Nobody goes in bandages anymore. It used to be a long, that shows you how old I am. I used to go cross country in bandages. Fairly rare that now. And stud kit and something to put into the stud holes when you take them out. This is just something to be thinking about. Good to remember. Check that your stud kit has the right studs in and that you have enough of them, and make sure your horse has stud holes. Nothing worse than turning up and going, I forgot to ask the farrier. Although we do tend to overstud in this country, so you may find your horse will be fine. So, okay, moving on. We now move on to the excitement of the rider. One more thing. Bridle number, especially for dressage aficionados. You need to put a bridle number. They don't give you a number when you get there if it's BD, and you need to have a nice one. Just get the most expensive one you can get because they're the most comfortable and easy to adjust. Cheaper ones like on string and stuff are really not good. So go for that. Rider list. This is a fun one. I always like to imagine that I'm sort of going to the show, starting with me naked and then building myself up like layers on a doll. So underwear, comfy socks and spares, and then your dressage shirt, cross-country shirt if you're doing cross-country, riding jacket, riding hat, dressage and cross-country, because of course certain sports have different hats for different phases, air vest if used, body protector, which is compulsory for eventers, and in some cases pony club and riding club as well, so check your rules if you need to be wearing that for even show jumping. Waterproof coat, waterproof over trousers, waterproof boots to walk the course. Even if you're thinking you've just got your nice boots, you don't be slopping through that water jump in the wrong boots. Riding boots and chaps whips, dressage and jumping whips. Gosh, it's such a lot of stuff. Gloves for each phase. This is so much easier to be a dressage or a show jumper. This eventing thing is really tough. Number bib, if you're an eventer, you have to have a special number bib that's approved by BE. A stock tie, a stock all tie with a pin, and hairnets and a scrunchie if required. Okay, I think that's my whole competition preparation list. I'm sure there's a few more things you guys would like to add. It's run that list and then think about your own personal situation and add what you need. Maybe remember the stroller for the kid, for example. I used to take my son when he was little, 16 now, but when he was little, take him around and half carry him, half drag him around the cross-country courses. He still vaguely remembers it, poor kid. So whatever, personalise your list, print it out, keep multiple copies, maybe plasticise it, whatever you call that stuff, and go and have loads and loads of fun. So here I am, Lisa Hamilton, Ridewell Grassroots Training, over and out. Have an amazing season. Hopefully you won't forget anything. Take care, have fun, bye.